KCAA Loma Linda.
Ha, yeah, y'all know what time it is. So just sit back and relax because the show's about to start. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hey, everybody. It is Down to Earth Talk Radio on AM 1050 KCAA Radio, and this is Let's Talk Community with David Phillips. And just want to thank everybody for being with us today. I got a chance to hear my man Joe Britt with Kcaa Racing at 4 o'clock out at the Freeway Auto Center car show and car meet down there at 333 South Waterman. Sounded like he was having a good time. Met a lot of cool young people. It was kind of nice to see a lot of representation from Rialto and the Inland Empire as a whole. Being a Rialto guy, I love it when I hear my city not only being represented, but also being highlighted in positive things, because you never know. We don't want to be stuck in the bad stuff all the time. So as we wait for our guest to come in today, something I'd like to start talking to you about is a lot of times we have our legislators, they sneak in that last minute legislation. They sneak in that last minute opportunity to do something really controversial without anybody knowing. And that happened on September 11th. More than just celebrating the tragedy that happened at the World Trade Centers, but our elected officials here in the great state of California decided to basically do a lot on the issue of marijuana, the air quotes medical marijuana, and they enacted some bills that's really going to make it difficult for us to keep our kids and our community safe. The bills are SB 643 and AB 266. They're two bills that are basically opening Pandora's box, and before they even ask you next November if you even want to have any more marijuana in the state, they're basically drafting the proposals and basically putting the cart before the horse. So, and three of our local elected officials that I've had a lot of issues with lately all voted for this. It's Ms. Cheryl Brown, Jose Medina out of Riverside, and Assemblyman Mark Steinforth, I think it is. Just three that seems to, when we put calls out to their offices, they didn't know anything about it. They'd call us back. Of course, never called us back. And the author of the bill, Tom Lackey, his office actually would talk to us. And even though they didn't have a whole bunch of specifics, they did talk to us. They did give us an opportunity to voice our concerns. And one of the biggest concerns is, and I know you've heard this on the I Love San Bernardino radio show on Sundays with their Cannabis Corner, is Mr. Green Meds here, the pot ambassador for the city of San Bernardino, talks about how, well, if they have fines and if there's taxes, then people will follow the rules. Sorry. Ordinances lack one thing. They lack criminal penalties. And the only way that you're going to get people to correct the behavior and act appropriately is by levying criminal penalties. So, if we continue just to go after the money-wise, you see it in Costa Mesa, you see it in San Bernardino, you saw it in Riverside before they got tough. If it's strictly just criminal penalties or monetary penalties, people will say, "Oh, it's worth the loss, it's worth the opportunity, so I'm going to eat it because there's tons of profit here." So if there's no criminal penalties, then what are we? What's to scare them from actually continuing to do the behavior? So, and my awesome guest just walked in the building, the ever so busy Corporal Marquez. Am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And as we transition from my soapbox of the medical marijuana world, Corporal Marquez works for the city of Rialto. He's a officer there in the city of Rialto, and I'm kind of blessed to have a cop come in and sit down with us, because a lot of times they don't do this because of the nature of their job and the nature of people get with the gotcha questions. So I'm just really happy to have this opportunity. to have you in here today. You want to?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. Sorry I was a few minutes late.
Hey,
There's a lot of traffic.
Driving down Foothill, I saw 4 cops dealing with 2 different things in the city of Rialto. So I get how busy we can be, and I know I have to be flexible when we're talking to guys who could be called on a moment's notice to deal with something else. So not a big deal. So what we're talking today about is basically the reentry program in the city of Rialto, right?
Yes.
And I was actually doing some research today. I thought I knew a lot about the program until I started doing some, more in-depth research today, and I found out that we're basically one of the only cities that does this besides Fontana. Is that correct?
Yes. Fontana was the first city in the Inland Empire to start a reentry program, and we've modeled our program off theirs. Their program has been, the Fontana reentry sport team has been really successful and kind of set the way for reentry programs like this. Yeah,
I went and when I Googled reentry, everything comes up Fontana. They're like the trailblazers on this. They're the first, like you said, the first ones. And they even have a really cool YouTube video that kind of breaks down the program and like the different ways that it's effective. And the chief, which I really love, is kind of the front man to explaining the whole program. And I think that's really important when your boss, the top boss, is behind a program. It's more likely to be effective, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, it's a paradigm shift for all law enforcement, and it's relatively new to law enforcement within the past 3-4 years with the oncoming of AB 109, Assembly Bill 109, and the California Realignment Act. We've seen a lot more focus on reentry programs and trying to deal with people coming out of the prisons and jails.
Yeah, I was actually watching his video, and in the beginning of the video, the chief from the city of Fontana said that due to the increase of prisoner release, like you had said, the need to help formerly incarcerated people re-enter society is vital.
Yes.
So, I mean, with the governor's prison realignment program, where he shifted all of those inmates from state prisons into county jails, and county jails had to do the whole, okay, we have no room, so we got to keep the bad guys, and the lesser bad guys, we got to kind of monitor them outside of these walls. So it's cool that you guys were able to step in and create opportunities for those people to be successful given the situation and find themselves not getting reincarcerated. So one of the things I saw with Fontana that I wasn't quite sure if you guys did, because I know I've seen you and your team out doing, like, going out to houses and connecting with people one-on-one. Is that correct?
Correct. There's a unique difference. Fontana has a lot more personnel that they could dedicate to the reentry program. They have 2 officers and a non-sworn position just focused on reentry. They also have their rapid response team that does more of the compliance checks. In Rialto, we have a probation officer Bradley, who's my partner. So San Bernardino County Probation dedicated Probation Officer Bradley to my team, and we work together, which I think works pretty well. We get to know the people on his caseload, people on probation, even that are not on his caseload, and we're able to connect with these people so that we see what's going on at home. We see what's going on with the families. We see what's going on when we talk to the neighbors, and they say, hey, this guy's not doing too good. He needs help. Okay, so we know who we need to approach or focus our attention on. And when they're doing good, we support them. We help them out as far as getting education, getting jobs, getting on the right path, and we get the support of their family because they know they could call Probation Officer Bradley, they could call myself and say, hey, you know what, Mr. So-and-so is out of line. He needs to get in this program. He's really back on drugs. You need to be on him. So I think it's a little different than Fontana's model in the fact that we do the home compliance checks, but I think it benefits our team, and we have a really good rapport with the people on his caseload, and people are starting to learn about our reentry team, and it's not a competition between departments at all. We're just connectors. I look at myself, and Probation Officer Bradley looks at himself as connectors to the community. The probation department has the day reporting centers, which does a great job. They have behavioral health, transitional assistance, workforce development partnerships through the day reporting centers. The reentry programs fill in those gaps for the ex-felons, people who are off supervision, people who are off parole, off probation. And the monthly resource events that we have are open to anyone in the county. We don't pat people down. We don't run names. We try to make it a friendly experience so that people who want to help themselves, they could just come in, they could ask questions, meet the representatives, and it's up to us to connect people to these resources.
That's the hardest part for some of these people is
Yeah.
once they no longer have that daily monitoring, once they don't have that, it's like, okay, so what do I do kind of thing. And sometimes you need that additional support to make sure that if you are on the right track that you stay there, because so easily we could slip into, old patterns and old habits. Even for us law-abiding people, our old habits always come back to bite us, don't they?
Yeah, it all plays into that whole pressure theory. People feeling that they have to commit crimes to support their family, or they have to revert back to the gang life. But what we try to do is strip people of their gang identity, try to let them know that they can go out and get jobs beyond the warehouse. They could go to one of the partners that we work with. Workforce development helps people with their resumes and interviews and help them develop their skill sets so that they could get a good job and consider themselves professionals and make a decent income so that they don't feel like they're forced to go back to selling drugs or committing crimes.
That's cool. One of the things that I was looking at, and this may be why other departments aren't doing it yet, but I was wondering, how is this program funded?
It's funded through the state. It's a state board of community corrections, and we receive money. Actually, San Bernardino County Probation receives the money, and then they disperse it through the various police departments. So my position is funded through Board of State Community Corrections.
So we get you and someone else paying for it. I like that. It's pretty cool. You talked about staffing differences between Fontana and Rialto, and I saw that on one of the I think it was the League of Cities thing where it laid out the Fontana program, and you're right, they have it listed as 2 sworn officers, 1 part-time probation officer, 1 community policing tech, and then a sergeant. So that's a pretty beefy team for the program. And
yes.
Like you were saying, it's just you and probation, correct?
Yes, and our volunteers help me out as well. And I have another officer, a collateral assignment, who assists me as well.
Yeah, volunteers are super helpful in City of Rialto, aren't they?
Oh, I love our volunteers. I can't thank them enough for all the hard work they do and for the community.
I saw them swarming around you in all the pictures from yesterday's event. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, that was a beautiful event. Very thankful for our volunteers.
Some of the organizations you said that you guys work with to make this so successful is like workforce development, employment development, workshops, and the monthly meetings. What types of workshops do you hold for the reentry people?
We have a variety of different organizations that we collaborate with, whether it be county, community, or private. If I could, do you want me to explain the monthly resource event now, or do you want me to get into that?
Yeah, you can explain it now.
Okay, well, basically what we do is we invite anyone from the community who's looking for any kind of help to come to our monthly resource event. We hold our monthly resource event on the last or the 4th Monday of every month. Begins at 9 o'clock, but 9 a.m. But we try to ask everyone to get there about 8:30 a.m. And what we do is we meet at 214 North Palm Avenue at the Johnson Community Center gym, and we invite people from the community to come so that they can meet representatives from the different organizations we invite, and they could talk to someone one-on-one. So they could ask questions, see what they qualify for, see what classes that maybe it could be something probation or parole could pay for. There's a lot of free resources out there in the community as far as food, transitional housing, clothing. A lot of focus is on getting people back into the workforce. There's a lot of funding, a lot of nonprofit organizations who are focused on helping people reduce their felonies to misdemeanors with the advent of the Prop 47.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these different organizations that come and they send in a representative, and what it is they actually people who come to these events get to talk to the representatives, and it's a really good experience because people don't have to drive to San Bernardino, Colton, Rialto, Fontana. They could just meet everyone in a one-stop shop and get the answers they need. We have faith-based counseling. We have Narcotics Anonymous. We have Department of Behavioral Health shows up, workforce development, transitional assistance. A lot of our local churches are getting involved because everyone sees the need and wants to help people. So the focus is, if you dedicate resources, you dedicate funding towards helping these people, the theory is that they're less likely to commit crimes or feel pressured into committing crimes. And that's the overall goal, which is sometimes hard to measure, but it's the police department and or other organizations are realizing that not one organization can do it by themselves.
No, that's true. It takes a team, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of the success can be seen through some of the regional programs that Rialto is part of with SWAT, with air resources and stuff. So instead of saying, oh, we don't have any money, we can't do it,
Right.
say, okay, we have this pot of money, you have that pot of money. Can
Correct.
our pots come together and make enough money to make it work for everybody? Because as long as we're trying to move forward instead of just sit still and sit there and say,
Right. The problem isn't going to fix itself, and regionalization has become very popular amongst departments because it's a force multiplier. You're able to use resources, or this vehicle here, these people here, they're volunteers, our volunteers, and when you collaborate, it's really, really awesome to see different organizations collaborate together and say, hey, you know what, we'll dedicate this person for a couple hours every month to come and talk to your citizens. It's really cool. I wish I could sit here and name them all, but it's anyone who wants to help or be a part of our monthly resource event is always welcome to send a representative and to offer their services to the community.
Yeah, and it's a really cool event. And I think keeping a little bit secret is cool because it makes people want to come out to the one you have coming up on September 28th, correct?
Correct.
And the next one is that date. And let's see, who did this type of work before? So before reentry, how did this type of work, or was this type of work, any type of work like this done? Like, how did we connect parolees and probation people to what did we do with these people before you guys started the reentry program and the state started funding it?
Well, parole and probation have always offered their clients, I guess maybe that's not the right word, clients or probationers or parolees, the services. Like I said, parole has their monthly meetings where as soon as people are released from prisons, they have their own resource event where the same representatives will come and offer services to them. And probation has the day reporting centers. I believe there's 3 in our county. And they're so inundated by clients, wanting services, and I think reentry programs kind of fill in those gaps. Like I said, we're not competing with anyone for numbers or funding or anything. It's all about collaborating and getting people help. So, it's a paradigm shift for every organization. Now that you're seeing police departments taking over, or they may be perceived as taking over some of the roles of probation and parole. And I've talked to the parole supervisor, I've talked to the probation supervisors, and I made it very clear that that's not my intent with these reentry programs. But it's a growing period with the reentry programs.
My father retired from the Department of Corrections after 30 years, and when I was talking to him about this event and having you on to the show and everything, and he reminded me, he's all, I tested for parole quite a few times, and he's all, I learned a lot about it. He's all, this is the kind of thing that helps lessen the workload, because the workload is extremely heavy, especially with the realignment program that we have been going through here in California. And then one of the other things is that you had mentioned was Prop 47. How has that impacted the work that you do? Has that made it harder? Has it made it easier? Has it not really changed what you're doing here specifically with reentry?
I think that Prop 47 is still relatively so new that I couldn't base my answer on any real hard numbers, or it would just be more of a personal opinion rather than something based on any hard facts. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a real good answer for that. I think it's just still
that's a fine answer. We just it with everything that's fluxing and changing here in California, especially with the outside of the box, forward thinking, whatever you want to call it, when it comes to consequences and making sure that people are paying for their crime, I guess, as I would say, it's interesting to. The goal is to get the people to know, okay, this is what this program is, and this is what it's doing to overall. And sometimes what I was speaking to the listeners about before you walked in was, we have legislators that aren't always thinking about the consequences. They're not taking hard forward looks at what this might potentially do. So we're always looking to put everything on. Now, those of us in my field, we have to put everything under a microscope because, now we have to show, okay, remember, we have to take everybody back. The biggest reason why September 11th is such a big event, not just because all those people died, but because we have a tendency as Americans to forget rather quickly. Mm-hmm. And especially, like my wife was saying, the kids in the schools, it's been so long, I forgot that most of these kids weren't even alive when September. So they're hearing September 11th. They're like, what is that? I'm like, what do you mean, what's that? I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's so alien to me. So,
and I encourage people to get involved with their local police departments and their community. I think it's good that you're so active and people are so interested in what's going on in their community, because the civic engagement is very important. And it's not just important around voting time or election time. I think it's important for people to always be involved, because there's a lot of great things going on in the community, not just from the police department, from the fire department, from probation, parole. All these different county, state, city organizations have a lot of good resources for people. People just don't know about them all the time. So that's why it's important to do radio shows like this, and I'm very active on social media with the Facebook,
yes,
Instagram,
you are.
Twitter. I want people to see a face and know the name and know that our monthly resource event isn't like a big sting operation. It's actually something that we're trying to.
You
put
want
out
a
to the
TV?
community.
Come in and redeem it.
Right? Yeah. See, and I understand there's a trust barrier between law enforcement and the community, but we have several community-oriented policing programs that are geared towards helping families. We have our Pride Platoon program. We have the new GREAT program. We have all we have so many different programs. It's like it's people just need to know and take advantage of all.
One of the things that biting off of that was one of the things I've seen with you and Corporal Nelson as our community policing corporal is how the two of you work in tandem. You work so close together, and the two, community policing and making sure that people who've recently been re-entered into, our neighborhoods, and making sure that they're healthy and that they're on the right track is so beneficial, and it's so complimentary, because he can do a better job at his job by providing that community policing model for the department and the community, and you on the other hand can help him have less people that are reoffending and creating issues where he doesn't have to deal with additional issues, and you guys can help each other, kind of thing. So
yeah, I think it's a great partnership. Corporal Nelson and I work on a lot of different projects together, and it seems like we're like the go-to guys for a lot of the community-oriented policing projects, and I like it. I like to go out and so that the community gets to know the police. Sometimes when you're on a call, it's kind of difficult to shake hands and say hello and explain our job. Sometimes it's kind of like we're just focused on the task at hand, and it's important to break away from that and take time to speak with people in the community so that they see the face, they know the name, and they could have a way to reach you, and that's what I've been pushing that to a lot of our patrol guys and a lot of our we have the area command meetings, which is a very good model, just ways to get out there. Any chance we get to communicate with the public, that's what our chief wants. Our chief envisions that he wants every line of communication with the public to be open so that people know their police department.
Yeah, I feel really blessed to live in the city of Rialto. People still do the gasp thing when I say live in Rialto. It's much better than it used to be, and there's worse situations. I'm actually pretty happy. So before we wrap up and I do the community events, when I was looking up online, I saw contact information and talking about how you guys, how it's not competitive, it's a cohesive environment where you guys work together. Uh-huh. See all these contact informations and all these different people, and you're actually listed on here, which I love. And this is the City of Fontana banner in the background. So I love looking at this because, like I said, collaboration and working together and pooling resources is going to make everything better for everybody. And then I loved this. I think this is the last slide. Right. This was 17. Is all of the different badges and agencies pointing back in towards the resources. So
Right.
those are just great visual representations of what the program is and what it embodies. And
Right.
one thing that I would, want to tell the listeners before I move into my community events is that you don't have to be someone who's in trouble. You don't have to be someone who has been in prison before. If you need help, or if you have a kid who's acting like a knucklehead and he's just got out of high school and he has no direction, they can send them down to the resource event, and you guys have opportunities for them as well, right?
Right. And thank you for bringing up that point. You don't have to be a felon. You don't have to be on probation or parole to attend the monthly resource events. It's for anyone. We invite our homeless. We have we have 2 officers who are assigned to assisting the homeless in our city. And that's become another big topic. So they go out and they invite them. We have actual little cards that we give them as an invite so they know the date, time, location of all the resource events. And it's great to see people who aren't on any kind of, who just need help to get back into the workforce, or you maybe have some kind of addiction, they need some help. The resource events are mostly for adults. We don't invite kids or teenagers, just by the mere fact that there may be some felons in the room. But we do, anyone could contact us for reference our great program, our Pride Platoon, our Explorer program for kids. And look at the PD website, rialtopd.com, really easy to remember. We're on Facebook. The department has its own Facebook and Twitter. Haven't jumped on Instagram yet, but we have our Nixle program, which is awesome. It's an awesome way to receive information and also give anonymous tips to the police department that helps us in our investigations. Like I said, it's just different ways to network with people, but you don't have to be on any kind of supervision to attend the monthly resource events. Everyone is welcome to come. My whole goal is to fill up that gym with people who are looking for help and are willing to make that change in their lives, who make that choice to change their lives and not go back to jail. I'm all about keeping our streets safe, and we don't let people slide. When they mess up, they go to jail.
Consequences.
There's
right?
consequences, yes, and we hold people accountable to those consequences. But if they need help, we're willing to open that door and lead them to the right place.
Cool. Well, we will have Corporal Marquez's contact information and links to his social media and stuff on our Facebook page, Let's Talk Community. So if you want to find us on Facebook, Let's Talk Community, you can find us there. Before we wrap up today, this half hour goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fast. I would like to come back again as many times as you would like me to come.
Oh, I love having cops. Everybody was, especially Joe Britt. He's like, "You got someone from the police department?" I was like, "That's how I roll, baby."
Yeah, anytime. I already told Corporal Nelson he's willing to give up every single Saturday to come out here.
Oh, I'd love that Corporal Nelson on here just so I could ask him where my letter's at. I just recently, I would like to point out the I-10 toll lanes idea is going to be discussed at the Senior Center on Monday, September 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. Come on out, get informed, voice your opinion if you want toll lanes or not. They do feed you. There is dinner. It is a great opportunity to come out and make your voice be heard. Wanted to highlight Coffee with the Chief in the city of Rialto. We had an awesome one just this last week. We had a couple people from San Francisco come all the way down to our Coffee with the Chief to talk to our chief about new technologies in law enforcement. So we're awesome, blessed to have people traveling all that way to come bend our chief's ear. And that is the second Tuesday of every month. And then wanted to highlight the fact that Mr. Paul Chabot from Drug Free California came out to Park Place community over here at 300 West Jackson, and we talked to the kids about being healthy, staying out of drugs, and it was just nice to see someone like Mr. Chabot take time to come out and talk to the kids about their place. So that's the music. We're wrapping up. This is Let's Talk Community on Kcaa AM 1050 Radio. We'll look forward to seeing you guys next Saturday. All right, take care. Bye.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Consider this your invitation to sell. At buysellmakeoffer.com, you can sell as much as you want for the next 60 days without paying any fees whatsoever. Sound incredible? It is, and it's true. Buysellmakeoffer.com is the new exciting way to sell your stuff online. Make extra money right now. Sell your old car, furniture, video games, household items,